The final whistle at the Carlos Belmonte. History is made for the first time ever. Albacete have beaten Real Madrid. Real Madrid are knocked out of the Copa del Rey by the side who are currently 17th in the second division. A night of extraordinary drama in Albacete. They have beaten Real Madrid in Álvaro Arbeloa's first game in charge. It ends in defeat. It ends in...
Pep Guardiola once said that managing Real Madrid isn't just a job. He called it the hardest, most impossible task in the world. And he was right. At the Bernabeu, winning isn't enough. You have to survive the politics, the press, and the pressure. It's an electric chair. And recently, the switch has been stuck on high voltage. In just the last 9 months, this impossible job has chewed up and spit out two of the greatest names in the game. First, the legend Carlo Ancelotti, and now, the prodigy Xabi Alonso. The club is in crisis, and to fix it, they've turned to a rookie, Álvaro Arbeloa. Is he the saviour who brings the glory days back? Or is he just the next victim walking into a trap? To understand how it all went so wrong, so fast, we have to rewind, back to where the first cracks appeared. April 2025. Carlo Ancelotti, the Don, the man who made winning look easy. For years, his famous power of friendship and immaculate vibes were enough to conquer Europe. He was the calm in the storm. But by April 2025, the magic simply ran out. It wasn't just a bad week, it was a total, systemic collapse. First came the shocking exit from the Copa del Rey, then came the knockout blow, a complete humiliation against Juventus in the Champions League that left the Bernabeu stunned. But here is the thing, this didn't happen overnight. The cracks were there all season. The defence was leaking goals like a broken pipe, leaving the goalkeeper helpless. And crucially, without the legendary Toni Kroos to control the tempo, the team looked lost. The brain of the operation was missing, and the structure simply crumbled. At Real Madrid, there is no such thing as a transition year. President Florentino Perez saw the collapse, and he didn't hesitate. He pulled the trigger. The Don was gone. Usually, sacking a legend like Carlo causes a riot, but the fans, they weren't devastated. Why? Because they thought the solution was already on the way. The prince was coming home. Everyone believed Xabi Alonso was the chosen one. They were wrong. Let's look at why the hype was so real. At Bayer Leverkusen, Xabi didn't just win, he performed a genuine football miracle. He took a club that was famously cursed, known as Neverkusen, and dragged them from the relegation zone to become the Invincibles. They went an entire season without a single one defeat. It was flawless. He wasn't just a coach, he was the hottest property in world football. When he finally landed in Madrid, it felt like absolute destiny. He had the tactical brain, he had the legendary history as a player here, and let's be honest, he just looked the part. The expectations weren't just to win games, the expectation was total, immediate domination. But here is the brutal truth. The Bundesliga is not La Liga, and the humble Leverkusen dressing room is a galaxy away from the shark tank of the Bernabeu. At Leverkusen, Xabi was the undisputed boss. In Madrid, he was managing a room full of global icons who believe they are bigger than the manager. Reports even surfaced claiming Alonso was hired on one strict condition: immediate silverware. No rebuilding phase allowed. He had to win everything right now. So, Xabi tried to force his beautiful, structured system onto this squad, but he ran straight into a wall made of superstars who didn't fit his puzzle. He tried to play a complex game of chess. But his pieces, well, they only wanted to play their own game. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Galactico problem. On paper, Real Madrid had the Avengers assembled: Mbappe, Vini, Rodrigo, and Bellingham. It was supposed to be the most terrifying attack in football history, but on the pitch, they weren't a team, they were stepping on each other's toes. Literally, it is the definition of a tactical traffic jam. Vini wants to own the left wing, Mbappe starts central but naturally drifts to the left, and Rodrigo, He's forced to play on the right, but his instinct is to, you guessed it, drift to the left to join the party. It wasn't a lethal formation, it was a congested parking lot. But the bigger issue wasn't even the attack, it was the Kroos and Modric void. For a decade, Toni Kroos was the GPS, and Luka Modric was the heartbeat. They didn't just play, they controlled time and space. They told everyone where to go, when to speed up, and when to slow down. Without them, there was no brain to control the chaos. Xabi Alonso is a tactical genius, but you simply can't tactic your way out of having no one to drive the car. Ancelotti was even forced to play midfielders in his defensive back four because of a growing injury crisis. Xabi Alonso wanted to avoid the same fate this season. But, and once again, Madrid are patching problems instead of solving them. This created a massive defensive crisis. With four superstars staying up top waiting for the ball and refusing to track back, the backline was left completely naked. Opponents were running through the Madrid midfield like it wasn't even there, turning every counter-attack into a nightmare. The system was broken, the balance was gone, but Xabi might have survived the tactical mess if it weren't for one thing. The final nail in the coffin came from an old enemy. If the tactical mess was the poison, Barcelona was the executioner, and the man holding the axe, Hansi Flick. This guy isn't just rebuilding Barca, he has become the Grim Reaper for Real Madrid managers. Flick's Barca had already helped push Ancelotti out the door. Now, they were coming for Xabi. The stage was the Spanish Super Cup. The scoreline said 3-2, which sounds close. But don't let that fool you, it was a domination. Real Madrid looked slow, old, and completely lost. They were chasing shadows for 90 minutes, and in Saudi Arabia, losing at the Super Cup final is bad. But being humiliated by them, that is an offence. And behind the scenes, the situation was even more brutal. Some around Real Madrid say Florentino Perez was never fully convinced by the idea of hiring Xabi Alonso in the first place, which made it easy to move on from him so quickly. As the coach's fate hung by a thread in recent weeks, Perez offered no public backing. At press events and speaking engagements, he stayed silent on Alonso, instead choosing to rage against La Liga, UEFA and Barcelona. Because at the Bernabeu, coaches come and go, but the president is the one who never moves. The board had seen enough. It didn't matter that he was a club legend. It didn't matter that it was his first season. In January 2026, the axe fell. Xabi Alonso was fired. The impossible job had claimed another victim in record time. So, with the tactician gone and the locker room on fire, who is crazy enough to take this job now? Who would walk into this burning building willingly? Enter the Spartan. So, who did they call? They didn't go for another tactical genius like Pep Guardiola. They didn't look for another calm father figure like Carlo Ancelotti. They stopped looking for managers and started looking for a soldier. They called Alvaro Arbeloa. If Xabi Alonso was the professor, Arbeloa is the Spartan. He isn't a philosopher, he is a warrior. He understands the Bernabeu better than anyone because he survived its darkest days. He is Madridismo, pure and simple. Remember, this is the man who stood alone defending Jose Mourinho and Cristiano Ronaldo when the whole world, and even his own teammates, turned their backs on them. He didn't care about being liked, he only cared about the badge on his chest, and that is exactly why Florentino Perez hired him. The president isn't looking for complex tactical diagrams right now, he's looking for iron discipline. He needs someone brave enough and crazy enough to look Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. directly in the eye and say one word: run. But even as Arbeloa steps into the job, the shadow is already there. Jurgen Klopp is highly admired by the Real Madrid board, and his name is being discussed as a potential future head coach, should he ever decide to return to management, which means this may not be a long-term project at all. But make no mistake, Arbeloa is walking straight into a minefield without a map. He has 5 impossible challenges waiting for him on day 1. He has to fix a broken defence, stitch a divided locker room back together and handle a Spanish press that smells blood. All of this without a single day of pre-season. He has the passion, he has the guts, but let's be real for a second. Can shouting and passion really fix a broken system? And that brings us to today. We watched the great Ancelotti lose his magic. We watched the genius Xabi Alonso fail to solve the puzzle. But the pieces on the board haven't changed. The structural issues are still there. The Kroos void is still empty. The traffic jam on the left wing is still real. and Barcelona is still waiting. Arbeloa hasn't fixed the roster, he's just changed the voice in the locker room. Real Madrid is at a dangerous crossroads. They have the best players on earth, but this impossible job is threatening to tear the club's golden era apart from the inside out. So, I'm asking you, is Arbeloa the next Zinedine Zidane, an unexpected saviour who turns passion into trophies? Or is this squad simply ungovernable, destined to crash no matter who is in charge? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.